Hello, I'm Dr. Charles Foster with Fostering Wellness, locations in Brandon, Rutland, Randolph, and Springfield. And if we don't know you yet, I hope that by doing this webinar, I'll get a chance to know you. If we already do know you, I hope that if you're a practice member, that you'll find this information helpful and worthy of your time. So without any further ado, I want to just go ahead and jump right into our webinar. Today we're going to be talking about moving well. It's part of a trilogy based upon Dr. James Chestnut's Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well series. And we've done the other two parts, and today we're going to complete the trilogy with Move Well. So what I'd like for you to do is to understand a few things. Start off a little bit lighthearted. Edward Stanley says that those who think they have no time for bodily exercise will sooner or later have to find time for illness. Or said in a maybe sort of a more funny way, the doctor says to the patient, so what fits into your busy schedule better? Exercising 1 hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day? So here's the thing. In 2015, there were 56.4 million worldwide deaths. Of those 56 million, nearly 70%, or 39.5 million, were due to non-communicable diseases. The four main non-communicable diseases are cardiovascular diseases, cancers, diabetes, and chronic lung diseases. Now, there's a common correlation between these diseases and inactivity. The studies show that if physical activity were reduced by 10%, it could avert over 500,000 deaths per year. And if we were able to reduce the physical inactivity by 25% around the globe, 1.3 million deaths would be averted. And if we could eliminate inactivity altogether, the average life expectancy of the world's population would rise considerably. The life extension benefit that we would get would be comparable as if we could get away with completely with smoking and obesity. So this is a really, really big deal. So it's not a coincidence that our increased technology corresponds to a more sedentary lifestyle. The advent of computers and tablets and smart TVs and the ability to watch movies anywhere and everywhere on the go and play games and play games with social networks has made it so that we don't do the normal things we used to do. Less than 5% of adults participate in 30 minutes of physical activity each day. Children spend more than 7.5 hours each day in front of a screen. 33% of high school students play 3.5 hours of video computer games in school after school each day. The daily rat race, it affects all of us. So many people are getting up. They wake up to an alarm and they're tired. They hit the alarm and snooze, but they wake and then they hit the shower and then they grab their coffee and put it in a mug and get on the go, and they go to the office, and at the office they drive a desk all day long, and then they come home and they're exhausted and they haven't moved yet, and then they eat a late dinner and then they watch a tube and then they fall into bed and they start all over. And we have this idea that the American dream is just around the corner. Happiness is around the corner, and we got to keep doing and chasing and buying and doing, and it just is not working for us, and we're not getting enough motion, enough activity in our lives. And kids today, the lack of movement here is a severe problem. They're found after school sitting on a couch and they're texting and doing video games and Facebook and other social media all the time while they're eating. There's almost zero activity. There's almost zero burning of calories. There's almost zero emphasis on building muscle and stamina and strength and endurance. What happened to the days when I was a kid, when basically we played outside? We weren't supposed to watch too much television, and Mom sent us outside. Basically, she said to blow the stink off, because if we were inside, we would pick at each other, and we would go out and be sweaty and dirty. We'd play ball and stick ball and ride our bikes until dark, and she'd be calling and saying, "Come on in, it's too dark to play outside." And we'd come in and we would have a supper and we would hit the bath, and then we would go to bed and would fall asleep. I'll have a hard night's sleep from being exhausted from our play and our activities. It doesn't happen that way anymore. So let's look at what the WHO says. And then let me share some important tips to help us avoid being a statistic. And it can be fun, and it can be sweaty, and it's going to be results driven, okay? Now, when I said The Who, I'm not talking about the band, the great rock and roll band, okay? We might want to play their music later on when I give you one of my strategies. But let's talk about the World Health Organization and what they say. Basically, they tell us that physical inactivity is the fourth leading risk factor for global mortality. And they tell us that regular physical activity helps to maintain a healthy body. We all know that. We don't need the World Health Organization to tell us that, do we? The physical activity can include sports or hobbies, and both moderate and vigorous intensity physical activity can bring health benefits. So it doesn't all have to be super, super hard, and it doesn't always have to be just moderate. People aged 5 to 17 must accumulate at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity daily. Okay? Younger people need more. And amounts of physical activity greater than 60 minutes provide additional health benefits. And adults aged 18 to 64 should do at least 150 minutes of activity throughout the week, or at least 75 minutes of vigorous activity through the week, or an equivalent combination of moderate and vigorous activity. For the best cardio health benefits, all activities should be done in bouts of at least 10 minutes of duration. We're going to talk about that too, and talk about how high intensity intervals, HIIT, high intensity interval training, can be a benefit and one of the things you might want to subscribe to. Now, the main recommendations for adults and older adults are the same. In addition, older adults with poor mobility should do physical activity to enhance balance and prevent falls. 3 or more days a week, they should be doing these activities. At bare minimum, older adults should be as physically active as their abilities and their conditions will allow. Now, inactive people can't start and start doing a full load of stuff. They need to start with small amounts of activity. They need to gradually increase their duration, gradually increase the frequency and the intensity over time. Inactive adults, older adults, and those with disease limitations, we're going to have added health benefits when they become increasingly more active. So, the question is, how active are you? Are you on the passive side where you're not doing much and you're not getting much activity? Or are you really, really active? There's a not so funny joke, if you will, made me think of Al Bundy from Married with Children. The doctor asked him, "Are you sexually active?" And he answered, "I'm not even physically active." These two are also related. If you're not physically active, you're not healthy, you're not going to be sexually active for very long. Okay, so here's something you need to know. This is not effective movement. The shake weight, it's killing us because we think like this. We think we can do some small substitute for activity. We can get some little gimmick and we can shake it, but the shake weight is not going to change the health status of the planet, and so it's ridiculous. Now, it's so ridiculous that it's kind of a joke, and there's great Saturday Night Live bits that they do with the shake weight. They're almost obscene and sexual in nature, but it's funny, not funny, because this is not an exercise program. This is not an effective movement either. We can't strap on vibrating things to our abs and expect us to melt off the fat and reveal our abdominal muscles. We also can't strap ourselves into these old style things and jiggle and shake our thighs and our buttocks and burn fat. It isn't going to work. And so that's not effective movement. There's no substitute for getting down and dirty and getting on the floor and making yourself move. So we're going to come up with some strategies. I've got 8 strategies I want to share with you. The first thing is to make it sustainable. If it's not sustainable, it's not going to happen for you. So it's very, very important that you don't make the common mistake of trying to go from 0 miles per hour to 100 miles per hour. You can't go from never exercising at all to exercising 60 minutes of hardcore fitness 7 days a week. It's unlikely that you're going to keep that up. You can't go from sleeping in every day and sleeping too late and slapping the alarm and then grabbing coffee on the go. You can't then establish a workout routine that begins at 4 a.m. during the darkest and coldest days of winter. It's not going to happen. You're not going to want to get out and go to the gym when it's cold. You're not going to scrape off your car any earlier than you're supposed to when it's cold and dark. It's not going to happen for the long term for most people. For some people it works, but for most, what we need are changes that are small, changes that can be implemented in a sustainable fashion. We can make some progress, some measurable progress, and then adding some more, add some more time, add some more reps, add a few different exercises, make more complex movements, etc. But it's got to be sustainable. Another thing is we can't think of training and movement as a weight loss strategy. Now, it's true that we burn more calories when we do movement, and it can contribute to sustained weight loss in a small fraction. Because movement is good for your heart, and it's good for your lungs, and it raises your metabolism, and it does increase your lifespan, but it's not a good weight loss strategy. They say you can't outwork a poor diet. So if you're eating poorly, you're not going to be able to lose that much weight in an exercise program. And there's a funny thing that happens when you work out hard. You want to reward yourself, and you're hungry. You need more calories, and so you'll replace the calories you spent. And so many people will get stronger and fitter and faster and more flexible, but they don't lose much weight. They might actually change their waist size a little bit as a result of it, but they still don't lose much weight. So I want you to understand that, because if you want to see your abs, one of the other axioms is that abs are made in the kitchen. Okay? So you got to move for movement's sake. Okay? You got to move because it preserves you. It energizes you. It releases important hormones, and it builds muscle. And that muscle that you build is going to add some weight. So again, it's hard to use this as a weight loss strategy. Look at our Eat Well program and our purification program if you want to know how to lose weight actually. So you need to start small and add when and if you can. All right. Good thing to do is to take a walk just before work or after lunch or after work. Get up 15 to 20 minutes earlier to begin with. That's all you need to start with. Get up 15 to 20 minutes earlier, throw on your shoes, go for a quick walk, and begin. And do it several days in a row until you begin to build a habit. And then, once you establish a route, I want you to do one of two things. I want you to either do it quicker over the same amount. Oh, so you cover the same amount of ground or mileage, if you will, in less time because you're pushing yourself. You're walking faster. You're climbing the hills faster. Or do this, cover more distance in the same time. So if you started off and you left your house and you walked for 15 minutes, as you get more fit, I want you to walk a little faster and see if you can get farther from the house in those 15 minutes and then still get back to the house in a half hour, so that you're pushing yourself and creating more challenge for your heart and for your muscles and for your lungs and so on. You could do this whether you're biking or hiking or walking or jogging. You can always begin to push yourself and see if you can get a little bit further in the same amount of time, adding speed, if you will. Okay. You can also begin if you're a walker and you want to begin to create a little high intensity interval training, or what we call HIIT training. You begin to add some jogs or sprints into the mix. So you can go for a walk and get warmed up, and then pick a telephone pole out in the distance. And when you get to that telephone pole, you run from that telephone pole to the next telephone pole, or from one house to the next house, or from one road sign to the next road sign, and push yourself between those two signs, and then walk between there and the next milestone. So telephone pole, walking between one, and then running between the next two, and walking between the next two, and so on. And what you'll do is you'll begin to get your heart rate up and down and up and down, and you're going to create a better fitness level for yourself. So that's how we get there. So ultimately, you can get pretty fit and do a timed workout in about 15 minutes, where you do 10 to 15 of these intervals, and you'll be sweating, which is one of the next things we want to talk about. Sorry, I went backwards. So another thing. I'm sorry, I went the wrong way with you there. There we go. I apologize. as I started to say, we're going to get sweaty now, okay? So this is really important as well. Eventually, after you work out, we want to see that you've done some sweating. We want to see that you have uh, uh, bust out some perspiration, okay? There are benefits to sweating. One is you get improved skin tone and complexion. You also find that it will lower your body temperature. It increases your metabolism. It releases toxins. It boosts your immune system when you raise your heart rate and you've made yourself sweat. It benefits your ego and your self-esteem. There's an interesting little thing about us. We like to congratulate ourselves when we've worked hard, and so when you've done a hard workout, you feel good about it afterwards. Notice how you tell people other about it, like, wow, I really kicked my own butt on that workout. It's a good thing, and it's a positive affirmation for yourself. So get out there and work hard. It boosts your ego. The other thing about sweating and working hard is it resets your internal thermostat for hard work. You used to think that climbing that hill was kind of a hard thing, but as you've got yourself out there and push yourself, that hill is really a small thing, and you're ready to take on bigger hills and bigger challenges and bigger obstacles. And every time that you surpass another obstacle, it improves your self-esteem, but it also is a measurement that you've improved your fitness level because you couldn't do any of those things to begin with. Strategy 3, one more, and good job. I want you to push yourself. I want you to whether you're doing push-ups and you can only do one, I want you to get down there and force yourself to do one more. And when you're tired of that, and if you have to get on your knees and do another one on your knees, then I want you to do that. I want you to look at chin-ups, and if you can't do one, I want you to learn to do one, and then learn to do two, or burpees or whatever. But the idea is that we're going to push ourselves to work harder and build more strength and muscle mass, because the repetition has many benefits. As I said, it builds endurance, it builds muscle mass and strength. It forces the body to repair tissue, and it forces the body to produce hormones that are beneficial to you. And I've already mentioned them: human growth hormone and testosterone. It strengthens important neurological circuits in your brain when you exercise and you push yourself beyond what you thought you could do. It forces more blood and oxygen through our tissues, aiding in tissue regeneration. And as I talked about before, the psychological benefits of knowing that you push beyond past barriers. You can translate that and put them into other areas of your life, realizing you can work harder at something, you can do more, you can accomplish more. Not just with your body, not just with your muscles, and not with your heart, but with your brain, because as you strengthen your body, your brain gets tougher as well. So learning to do more than you thought you had in you. And as I said, you can apply this to so many areas in your life, because when you do this, you're not only working your physical muscles, but you're working your don't quit muscles. Another strategy we want to employ is to make it fun. It's really important, if you're going to do this for a long period of time, that you find some joy in it. So change your routine. Do something different. Mix it up. Take a break from lifting and do more walking, and then change from walking back to lifting, and do stretches and yoga and Pilates and core work, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but do it with a class or do it to music, but make it fun. Strategy 5 is become obsessed in a good way. Now, we know that it's not good to be obsessive compulsive about things and to annoy people and to measure and remeasure and check and recheck to the point that we're driving everybody crazy. But there is a good level of obsession when it comes to being healthy. And in that, what we want to do is we want to begin to write down our fitness goals, and we want to pursue them relentlessly. I want you to keep track of your progress, okay? I want you to keep track of how many consecutive days that you worked out. I want you to keep track of the miles you logged, and the time you spent on the trails, and the time you spent on the running machine or the stair climber, and keep track of the calories that you burn, not only today, but all of this week and all of this month. And visualize the changes that you want to make, and keep track of other changes. If you're able to do it, check your blood pressure and your heart rate and blood sugar levels, and begin to monitor your sleep and keep a journal and a log. And are you sleeping better, and are you sleeping longer and waking more energized? You have fewer wakeful periods of time in the night? Have you started to beat that insomnia? These are all measurements that you've improved your fitness level. Notice the improved fit of your clothes, and reward yourself when you've been able to downsize your belt and a pair of pants and that kind of thing. So uh, keep track of these things. Be obsessive about keeping track of these things and seeing yourself improve. Strategy 6, you want to make it functional. These exercises that we're going to show you in the next, I'm going to show you 10 exercises. They're very good exercises. They're not typically hard, but they are complex compound movements using lots of your body. And if you do these things, if you use these exercises, you're going to be fit and stronger in all of your joints, all the big joints, all the limb joints, and the hips and the glutes and every part of your body is going to be stronger. You're going to be more athletic. You're going to see change in your tennis game and your golf game and your hiking and your ability to walk further and hike higher with more stamina and less fatigue. You're going to see that if you want to play touch football with the kids, the grandkids in the backyard, your increased strength and flexibility is going to make it so that you can go out there and have some fun with them, and you're less likely to get injured. So very, very important that we do functional type exercises. So the following exercises are going to allow you to move well and not become too muscle bound. They're going to help you maintain flexibility and strength and endurance, as well as recondition your balance skills as well. And I want you to make an appointment at one of our 4 offices so that you can learn how to do these exercises safely and effectively, because we don't want you to get hurt. And we can take any one of these exercises we show you and we can modify them to where you're at today until you can do them the way they're shown here. And we can do this regardless of your age, ability, or fitness, okay? So please give us a call, make an appointment. The first thing I want to show you is the medicine ball squat with the overhead lift. Now you can start off with this without a ball, or you could use a weight, but basically I want you to stand with your shoulders up and your head up, and I want you to squat down until your butt gets below your knees or even with your knees. Now you might not be able to do that right away, so just do what you can and then stand up and raise your arms over your head and look up over your head and then repeat. I want you to do 6 to 10 of these repetitions each time. And as you get stronger, you can go lower and you can get increasingly heavy weights or medicine ball, and you'll begin to feel strong in your glutes and your thighs and your hips and your ankle joints and everything. So it's a very good strength exercise. The next functional exercise is a stair climb with a bicep curl. You can do this in your home, on the stairs in your home, or coming up out of your basement, or going upstairs, or you can do this at the local school if you go to where the bleachers are, where they play football, or you can do this on a stair climber, or you could even do this on a treadmill with the incline, with the treadmill incline. And I want you to walk and use your core and your balance and use dumbbells to work your upper body. So working your legs and your heart and your lungs and your arms at the same time. This is a very good and important exercise for you. It can be done at almost any physical fitness level. We just change out the weight of the weight of the dumbbells and the height of the stairs and the climbing. The next one is the hip extension with the reverse fly. This looks kind of like our inverted hamstring that we teach in our core exercises. But basically what I want you to do is I want you to grab small light weights, and I want you to keep one leg straight and bend forward and make a flat table with your back and your leg, so that there's a nice straight line from the back of your head running down your back, across your glutes, across your thigh, into your heel. So we have one kind of straight line. It's a balance move, it's a strength move, it's an endurance move. When you add in the weights and your arms out the side like a bird flying, you're increasing your back strength as well, improving your posture, improving your head position. Another exercise is called the diagonal reach with a medicine ball. And this one is really important. We teach this one as part of our lunge series in the office. I call this the UPS driver. I imagine that woman is there and she's in the back of her UPS truck, and all the boxes have fallen down on one side of the truck, and she's reaching down across her body to pick up the boxes and then stack them up on the shelves on the other side of the truck. And again, doing the 6 to 10 repetitions on each side, using your core, using your glutes, using your thighs, using your shoulders, keeping your head up, looking up. It's going to help us to improve your curve, your posture, your strength, your endurance. Very, very important exercise. Then the lunge with the back. This is another one. Weights in your hands. If you have dumbbells, that's great. You can use cans of vegetables if you're just starting and, with weights. You don't have to have very much weight, but I want you just to lunge forward. Again, make a straight line from the back of your head down your back to your heel, and let your arms hang down by your ankles, and then holding that position with your body and making your core work really, really hard, pulling your elbows back, doing like a rowing motion, pulling your elbows back, shoulder blades back, and getting those weights as high as you can, and squeezing and then repeating 6 to 10 times on each side. And we have the knee lift with a lateral raise. Basically, you start arms down to your side, weights in your hands, both feet flat, and then you're going to stand up and balance on one foot with your arms out to the side. So you're doing a knee lift and a lateral raise. Hold for a count, put it back down, do the other leg, bring it up, knee up, arms out the side, hold for a count. That's you've done one on both sides. That's one repetition. So I want you to do 6 to 10 repetitions for your superset. Okay. We also have the push-up with the hip extension. You can do push-ups on the floor. You can do push-ups on a bench or off of a chair. But I like this with the bench, where the individual is leaning forward on a bench. They've got their shoulders underneath, their hands underneath their shoulders, and they're going to do a push-up with one leg extended straight in the air. And then when they go down and do that one push-up, they're going to change and put the other leg up in the air. So they're going to alternate. This is working the core, and it's a kind of a modified plank thing with a push-up in it. It's a very, very good strength and endurance thing, and you'll know you're getting stronger when you can add more of these reps. And you might not be able to do 6 to 10 reps of these to begin with, and you certainly probably can't do them if you're just flat on the floor. You might be easier on the bench to get started. But if you want to make it harder, you can add in medicine balls where your hands are on, or not on medicine balls. Yeah, well, you could use medicine ball or stabilization balls, or you can be with a 1 foot and with your feet up on the bench, your hands on the floor, and make it even more hard. So there's ways to make it harder as well as making it easier. So please make an appointment and come and talk to us about that. Then there's the torso rotation with the medicine ball. And again, you don't need a medicine ball. You can have light weights, you can have dumbbells, but you're sitting on the floor, your legs are straight out, and you're going to take that device, the weight, and you're going to push it off to your side and touch it on the floor behind you, and you're going to bring it up and bring it across and touch it on the floor on the other side, trying to hold your core tight and maintain your balance. And as you get stronger, you can add more weight, and as you get stronger, you can begin to raise your heels off the floor so that they're not touching. So you're sitting something of a boat or a V shape with your butt touching the floor, but that's all. And you're doing this rotation, holding your legs straight. Very, very good core strength exercise. Then we have the supine bridge with the arm extension. Basically, you get down on the floor, you up on your flat feet and your flat hands. Raise yourself up. You look like a little little tabletop there. And then from that tabletop position, coffee table position, you're going to take one arm and put it up in the air, and you're going to reach down and put it on the floor and hit the other one up. And again, good core, good glute, good thigh, good shoulder, endurance and balance exercise. And then we have the dynamic prone plank. And this is the last one in our series I'm going to show you. And this one is not done for repetition. This is done for time. Basically, just like you see it here, I want you to stretch out on the floor, get on your belly, and get up on your elbows, hands forward. I want you to keep your head looking at your hands in front of you. I want you up on your toes, and I want you just to hold this for as long as you can. You might only be able to do it for 15 seconds. You might be able to get to 20 seconds. But eventually, I want you to get to where you're doing 30 seconds and a minute. Now, anyway, whatever you're doing, I want you to keep increasing the time. Look at your clock, or if you have a watch on your wrist, look at that thing and make yourself work harder. Breathe through it. You're going to start shaking. You're going to start feeling your core, your muscles, your glutes. Everything's going to get sore or start shaking because it wants to break down. And when you finally break down, you're done. And then that's one superset. We've done all those exercises. That's one superset. And as you get more and more fit, we're going to ask you to go through those again. So you go through those 10 exercises, and you would do 6 to 10 reps of each of them, except for the plank, where you're just going to do one for as long as you can. and then you would take a minute break and you would go through them again. Ultimately, we'd like to see you get to do those 3 times, so 3 supersets. It's a fantastic functional routine, and I promise you that if you love golf, you're going to see you're able to hit the golf ball farther and maybe even straighter. I won't promise that. If you're a tennis player, if you're going to use your core and increase your strength in your core and your glutes and your thighs, you're going to be able to deliver more power to the ball. You're going to be able to hit a tennis ball farther. If you're a softball player, you're going to be able to hit the ball farther and harder. You're going to hear a difference when the bat meets the ball, because you're stronger. Okay, very important stuff for us to do. So remember, I want you to make an appointment because we want to help you answer your questions. We want to help you avoid getting injured. Next strategy, we want to see you get a partner. If you're going to sustain an exercise program, it's going to be really, really good for you to have a partner. You know how it is. You've said you were going to start an exercise program on Monday, but Monday never comes. We need accountability. We need support. We need to be able to get leverage. And when I talk about leverage, we need to have sometimes a higher purpose. And so sometimes I convince myself I'm going to work out because I want to work out and be fit for my kids. Or I want to work out and be fit and be able to be around and available and be able to play and have fun and run and hide and hunt and things like that with my grandson. So I get leverage. So I need to have a reason for doing this. But a partner is a big, big reason because you're not likely to stand up a partner. You say, I'm going to meet you at 6 in the morning, or I'm going to meet you at lunch, or I'm going to meet you after work. You're going to bust your hump to get there so that you can meet them because you don't want to let them down. It's funny because sometimes we have trouble keeping promises to ourselves. How many times have you said, I'm going to work out after work, and then you don't? You come up with a bunch of excuses. But if I've said I'm going to work out after work with my friend John, I bust a hump, I get there. Even though I don't feel like it, I get out there and I work out with John, and he tells me that he wasn't going to come either, but he had promised me that he was going to be there. And so the fact that we're holding each other mutually accountable is a big, big deal. And the partner is fun because you can be competitive with each other. You can try to do a little bit more than your partner did because you want to stay ahead of them. That's part of the male ego maybe. But they can also tell you one more. They can push you to do a little bit more, go a little bit farther, go a little bit faster. And they can just keep saying to you, don't quit. So a partner can help you to plan and to stick to your plan. Finally, the last strategy we have here, it's really, really simple. We call it boogie. Basically, I want you to play loud, pumping music. Oftentimes, it's music from your youth, something that reminds you of good times, and it makes you feel good. Endorphins are released when you hear it. It reminds you of a concert you went to, and so you get excited when you're working out to it and you're jamming to this music. It keeps you excited, and helps you move. And it also helps you turn some of these moves into dance moves. There's a number of the moves that we just showed you there that you could incorporate a little bit of a dance jig to it if you wanted to make it a little bit more fun. Wiggle your hips and your butt and shake your head and your shoulders and so on. But not only that, there's research now from Brunel University that says that listening to music has been shown to increase our endurance by up to 15%. So what we know now is that when we work out and we've got loud pumping music, that we can go a little bit farther. It's one of the big reasons people listen to music when they're running, and you see all their earbuds in when they're listening to their device while they're running, because so often they're listening to music because it helps keep them pumped up. It gets adrenaline going into their body and helps them to maintain their exercise goals and achieve their exercise goals. And there's also something else. If you listen to rock and roll or techno music or whatever, the best benefit is when the beat is somewhere between 120 and 140 beats per minute, which is very similar to where when we're working and getting cardiovascular benefit, we're going to be somewhere between 120 and 150 beats a minute for most of us. Okay, so we literally the beat is happening almost with our heart rate. Pretty impressive stuff. So finally, it's time to move well. We at Fostering Wellness are committed to helping you achieve your fullest and highest health potential. We want to see you live longer and stronger, and we want to see you live fitter and faster and and leaner and younger and meaner. Okay, I don't really mean mean, but anyway, we want to see you to be healthy. So let's go back just to sort of reattach to our motivation, why we're doing this, where we started. Recall I showed you that less than 5% of the adults participate in 30 minutes of physical activity each day. Recall that I showed you that children, this is a terrible statistic, spend more than 7.5 hours a day in front of a screen. And at high school students, 33% of them are playing 3+ hours on video games and computers. They're not moving. And that's why we see so many obese children today. Not only eating terribly, but our kids are not moving. And we are going to see, for the first time in a while, a generation that is unlikely to live as long as their parents, because we are developing heart disease in our teens. Our children are developing, and grandchildren are developing heart disease in their teens rather than in their middle ages. So, it's time for some truth. There's nothing more important than your health. There's nothing on this planet that's more important than your health, because when you begin to lose your health, you will begin to figure out how you can spend money and time and effort and travel in order to go pursue getting your health back. It's after we've lost it that we begin to realize how valuable it is. When we can't spend time with our kids, we can't do this and enjoy that activity, that's when we begin to realize how important our health has been to us, because it's so easy to take it for granted. And we don't intend to scare you, we intend to confront you. And we don't intend to create more stress. In fact, we know that when you start moving better, you're going to see stress levels drop in your life. And we don't intend to keep you from enjoying your life, and because we know that this is hard work, but we intend to help you get more enjoyment out of your life, because fitness and the ability to move well is a huge benefit to you now and in the future. So let's commit together to get in exercise 3 days a week, movement 3 days a week for 30 minutes each of those days to get started. And please don't forget the importance of chiropractic. Let us help you to move well by ensuring that your spine and your nervous system are functioning at an optimal level. Let us help you to avoid injuries that can occur when you have undetected motion abnormalities in your spine, or when you have unknown muscular adaptation patterns and compensations from old injuries that have not been adequately treated. We want to help you to get the most out of your health, and we know that part of moving well is having a spine that moves well. And part of moving well is having a nervous system and a muscular system that is moving well. And it cannot do it if there is subluxation misalignment, if there's muscles that are not activated, and there's parts of your nervous system that are not active. You cannot get the most out of your exercise. You cannot get the most out of your diet if you are not properly aligned. So we want to have you give us a call and make sure that you're under regular chiropractic care. So finally, we're here for you because our singular focus is to improve the quality of health and life and health for every person we encounter. That's what we want to do. Our life-saving mission is to educate and adjust as many families as possible so that they can achieve optimal health. So I look forward to hearing from you again soon. Thank you for spending this time with us here, and we want you to know that we care about you, and we are fostering wellness.